Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the One Dad Seven Lives podcast, and I certainly do thank you for joining me today. Today, what I want to cover might be a bit of a touchy subject: Pride Month. So, let's get right into it. Now, maybe it's me, maybe I don't understand, maybe it makes no sense to me, I don't know. But Pride Month is a confusing thing. Is it you're only allowed to be proud of your sexuality if you are gay, lesbian, bisexual once a year for 30 days? Or what? You're celebrating what? Most of the people that are celebrating Pride Month now are not people who were even affected by what Pride Month was back in the day. And I don't understand why you, as a human, want your sexuality to be dropped to I am this and I am only this and this is all I am and this is all I am for 30 days, and then you are not allowed to be or can't be or shouldn't be what you are. And I'm not saying don't be proud of being anything. Be proud of who you are, certainly, but I don't see why you can't be proud of it in July or October or December. It doesn't make sense, and I don't have the understanding as to why people are out celebrating this as if it's a good thing. Certainly, you know, equal rights are for everyone, absolutely. But I don't see where your rights are no longer there. And maybe in certain parts of America it's not the same, I understand. But especially here in the UK, you have the same legal rights as everyone else. Whether you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, whatever. And I don't I don't understand why you're happy for, first of all, your sexuality to be commercialized and profiteered on by these massive conglomerate companies that are using you. They are they are using your sexuality as a person, as an individual, to virtue signal to everyone else in the world that they are the super special, super awesome people. And if I'm being honest, I find it quite cringy. It's a bit ridiculous, really, and it, it is not something that I think you should be proud of at this point. You are being commercialized, you are being used, and for want of a better word, your sexuality is being abused against you to signal, virtue signal to everyone else that they are super woke. No, they're not. They're just profiteering. I understand it's a capitalist country and a capitalist regime that we live in, and certainly I don't think that that's a bad thing. But I do think that we should certainly be looking at what we are allowing ourselves to be and become, and I don't think that it's something that is necessarily a step in the right direction for anyone. And if you do, that's fair enough. Great, good on you, and enjoy your life. But I have worked with many people of many different sexual orientations. Had friends when I was growing up, and still do to this day, who are of many different sexual orientations, and I don't understand what rights they don't have that I have. And I find it a bit absurd that Pride has now been turned into this, what would you call it? Basically, it has been turned into this thing whereby people are now using it um, to show off to each other how cool and how smart and sassy they are, and you know, it's ridiculous that people are using this to quote unquote fight for their rights. I don't know anyone in a Western country who doesn't have the same rights as the person standing next to them. And if you can show me that, show me proof of that, then I will stand with you absolutely, 100%, because it is not just wrong, it is absolutely, unequivocally against their human rights. And I, as a fellow human, will absolutely stand with you to help fight for their rights. But the problem is, you won't be able to show me that person because that person doesn't exist. That person isn't a thing. It's an imaginary. It's an imaginary thing that people argue or use to argue that they don't have the same rights as me or my wife or my kids or my neighbours, and I find it utterly ridiculous that this has now turned into what it is today, which is a commercial virtue signal, and it's being used to tell people like myself that we are not good enough because we don't virtue signal to people of the Pride community, and we therefore are not good humans. And I find that an obnoxious and utterly absurd point of view to hold. And I mean, if someone can explain to me why I'm wrong, then certainly I will listen to you. But I do not, absolutely do not see that what it is and has become now is what it was 50, more than 50 years ago now. And if you can prove to me that I am incorrect, then certainly I will retract what I've said. But there are multiple adverts going about just now that I have seen where it's people of different sexualities and different ethnic backgrounds, all from Western countries, talking about the fact that they want to be treated with the same dignity and human rights as everyone else. And that's kind of what spurred this topic on, is because I honestly couldn't give a fuck. Do what you want, be who you want to be proud of who you are, and go on about your day. But don't spend 30 days telling me that I am a terrible human being and anyone who doesn't stand with you is against you, um, because that's not how the world works. There is a problem, there is a solution, and just because you're not part of the solution doesn't mean I'm part of the problem. Which means I don't give a fuck. I don't care. It's not something that I am interested in dealing with at that moment in my life. It may be that I do help, I do feel that it becomes something that I need to or want to deal with later, but just because I'm not part of the solution, quote unquote, doesn't mean I'm part of the problem. It just means I don't want to be part of the quote unquote solution. Your problems have already been solved, and if you can, again, as I said, if you can point me otherwise, if you can tell me anything to the contrary, then I will stand with you. Absolutely, I will fully retract everything that I've said here, and I will stand with you. But one person being a dickhead to you on the internet isn't your human rights being infringed. That's a dickhead. One person calling you a name on the street isn't your human rights being infringed. That's a dickhead on the street. There's no there's no there's no comparability to what you talk about when you talk about, oh, but such and such said this. Okay, one person said one thing. That doesn't mean everybody says that thing. Like I said before, I am happy and certainly more than willing to stand with anyone who can show me that their human rights are being violated in a way that is against basically anyone's moral code, I would say. But you have to show that you don't have the same rights as me, as my wife, as my kids, as my neighbours, my friends. It's not something that you can just say, oh well, this is what I think, therefore that is true. Because that's not how the world works. It's not a case of I think this, therefore truth. If you don't have a right, then you should be able to show me proof. You should be able to show me, oh well, I can't go in here because of my sexuality. You should be able to show me proof that there are places that you are banned from, places that you are unable to sit, or there are certain companies that discriminate against you, and I can guarantee you that you will 100% not be able to show me that, because that is not the case. It doesn't happen like that. More often than not, what will happen is that the companies, especially during the month of Pride, will virtue signal so heavily and so unrealistically badly to get those brownie points, to show that they are the super woke company that they are supposed to be. And I don't care what anyone says in that regard, that is what they're doing. They are not helping the cause. If they were, they would donate to charities. They are trying to get you to spend your money with them. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. And this is the thing that annoys me is, yes, there are charities out there that do great work for certain groups of people, whether that be, the Pride community, or homeless people, or battered wives, different things like that. There are excellent charities that do deal with this stuff, but, and here is the but, the companies that are out here telling you that they are super woke, like, Nike and different companies like that, they only want you to spend your money with them. That is why they're doing it. How many of these companies that tell you that they stand with you and your fight for your human rights, how many of them donate money to Pride charities? And I don't just mean Pride itself, but lesbian, gay, bisexual charities. How many of these companies donate to the charities that help these people if they need help? How many? I can tell you, maybe one or two. But I can guarantee you that big companies like Microsoft, or Apple, or Sony, or Nike, or Reebok, or pick another one, I can guarantee you that they absolutely do not donate to these charities. 100%. And again, if I'm wrong, certainly prove me wrong, but it is unbelievable to myself that would be the case, because they want your money. They don't want to give their money away. They want you to give them your money. And I am most certainly not saying that I do not support some of these companies. I obviously do, but I am not also on your side of the coin. I am not sitting here saying, oh well, I support this and I think that the human rights of people within the Pride community are being infringed and I need to help them and I need to do X, Y and Z. So I don't have a dog in this fight. It doesn't matter to me where you spend your money, but you need to be aware of the system that you feed into. And this is something that goes back to a few different things that I've discussed previously already. You need to be aware of the system that you feed into, because you allow these companies to do this, therefore they do it again and again, and they get more and more bold, and then people start praising them for their wokeness. They're not woke, but people start praising them for this, so they get bolder again, and before you know it, these companies are being held up as the pinnacle of the Pride community. And I find it utterly ridiculous that is the case, and it's completely and utterly ridiculous. And I don't think that anyone within the Pride community should be standing for it, because your sexuality is being monetized. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But you shouldn't be allowing these other people to do that. And I think the fact that that is something that is happening is something that you need to look at. And I certainly think that you need to look at Pride Month as a whole and figure out what's going on there. Because, again, like I said, yes, certainly there are people who will be part of Pride Month who are old enough to have been back when the when it kicked off and when it was moving forward, and I understand that. But most of the people who march and deal with the, what am I trying to say, and deal with Pride Month in the way that they do now, these militant, we don't have equal rights, therefore we must march people. And those are the ones that you need to look at and figure out what's going on, because most people who have been part of Pride Month now, in their late teens, early 20s, are the same, have the same rights today as they did when they were born. Their rights did not change in any way whatsoever. And I think the fact that you're using Pride Month as a we don't have equal rights thing now is utterly ridiculous. And I think that most certainly that needs to be looked at. It cannot continue to go the way it's going, because it's not true at this point. It really isn't. And I don't care what you say. You cannot sit here today as we speak and tell me that both myself and you do not have the same absolute human rights. I would love to see the explanation of that if that's the case. Please do show me what rights as a human you do not have that I have. One. Just one. That's all I want. If you can show me that, then we can have a discussion. But until then, this needs to be looked at from a very clinical point of view, and it needs to be something that we look at as a society. I'm not saying that there can't be a Pride Day march or whatnot, but I think the fact that you're trying to turn this entirety, this thing, to make Pride Month into a human rights march and a political statement is ridiculous. There is no one within the Pride community at all that doesn't have the same human rights as we sit here today that I have. None. There are no people that are included within that conversation within the Pride community. Now, again, please do show me, and if I am incorrect, then I will certainly retract what I have said. But there is nothing that you can say to me that I believe would change my mind. I am open to other opinions, most certainly, and I am open to the discussion, but you would have to show me actual proof of a human right that you do not have as we sit here today. If you can do that, then certainly let's discuss it. But until then, we'll call the conversation at that. I most certainly do thank you all for joining me today. If you are watching or listening to me on YouTube, please do like and subscribe the video if you enjoyed the discussion. If you didn't, certainly dislike it. Leave a comment and tell me what you did or didn't like about it. And if you did enjoy it, certainly I've got more content like this. Do subscribe. We put out 5 daily shows and then 1 weekly recap. That will be starting next Sunday. And also, if you're listening to me on Spotify, thank you very much again for joining me today. If you're listening to me on Apple, please do just leave a review and let me know what you thought. And you can catch me over on Twitter at twitter.com/onedadpod. That is one, the number one, DADPOD. That is DADPOD. Certainly thank you very much everybody for joining me, and I hope you all have a very, very good day.